Hi again. Okay, let's do some more conduit closure mutations. So we have connected, we have routed a multi-conduit through the conduit closure, and we have also put single conduit, attached it to the conduit closure. What we have not done is that we have actually not cut the outer conduit yet on the multi-conduit, and we have not cut one of the inner conduit yet. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna cut the so we have this situation right now, plus this one is going in too. And then I'm gonna cut the outer conduit, so it will look like that. So the outer conduit of the multi-conduit, and then I'm gonna cut one of the inner conduits. Okay, so let's try that. So before we do it, let's look at the data here. We have, as you can see here, for example, the single conduit that's going into the top. It's not, if you look at the terminal level, we should not look at a port level here. If you look at the terminal level where the single conduits are connected to, it's not connected yet. So the single conduit just go into the terminal, but it's not connected to anything. It's just hanging there, not used. And if you look at the multi-conduit, all its conduits are, all these inner conduits that are attached to the terminals are just passing through, right? Okay. So let's start by cutting the outer conduit. Yeah. And if I look now at the ports where the multi-conduit go through, you will see the change here. The only change that will happen here is that the outer conduit will change from pass through to not connected. So now I did the query. What we saw before was before we did the mutation. And you can see here, right? You can see here that on the right side, now the port has changed to not connected. And that's because, orange stuff is just going inside the port, but it's not connected to the other side anymore. And of course, that's both ends, right? So if you look at this is the right side, and look at the left side, it's the same. It's not connected either, this port. So this is where you can see now that there's a multi-conduit, outer conduit segment. This one is actually going into these two terminals, but they are not connected to each other. Now let's do the second cut, and this is where I cut the inner conduit. I choose to cut inner conduit number 2 in the multi-conduit. And let's look again on the old data. I have not queried yet. So if we look at right side, for example, inner conduit number 2, you can see it's passed through. So when I refresh this query, it should be not connected, right? So I did that, and you can see now this inner conduit on position 2 is not connected because now we have cut it over. And of course, in the other end, it's the same. Yeah, not connected, right? So now we have the situation we have here. Yeah, exactly the situation. We have both cut the outer conduit and we have cut one of the inner conduit. And then the last thing we're going to do is now we're going to connect the inner conduit that we have cut to the single conduit that is already attached to the conduit closure. And this is the last command here. And the way you do that is you start by saying, okay, the inner conduit of the multi-conduit, I like to connect to a so-called junction. It's a small connector that will have an ID in the system. So basically, you have to do this in 2 mutations. And how can I explain this? If you look at the inner conduit here in real life, you can see that there's a little, can you see this little thing here between them? Oh, here you can better see it maybe. I don't have the picture. Here you can see that this thing here, that's known as a connector. So when you have to connect two single conduits, in this case we're going to connect an inner conduit, which is also a single conduit that is inside the multi-conduit with another single conduit, right? Through a connector. And to do that, you have to do two mutations. First, I'm going to connect the inner conduit to the connector. And you can see here the description here. It will connect an inner conduit of the multi-conduit to a junction single conduit connector. The junction connector will be created automatically. So it will just take this multi-conduit, inner conduit number 2, the incoming N, and this is important because you have to remember we have cut it over, so there's actually two ends, two kind of inner conduits in that point. So we have to choose which one we're going to connect to the junction. Hope it makes a little sense. And then we have the ID of the junction we're going to connect it to. And this ID here I just put in. It's just I just use a generator to generate that ID. And then the system will automatically create such junction. However, when we have done that, we also have to connect the other single conduit to that same junction. And that's what this command do. So after these two mutations here have been executed, the two inner conduits are sorry, the inner conduit and second conduit will then be connected to each other in the system. So let's do that. And now let's try query. And you can see here immediately here, it was the top. The top was the top side where we put our single conduit in. Now it's connected to the left side of the conduit, and that's also correct because it was the incoming inner conduit we like to connect to this guy, so that's also the left side. And if we go down to the left side here, we can look at the right side first, and this you can see here the right side, the inner conduit number 2 is just not connected. Whereas in the left side, you can see here the inner conduit is actually connected to the top side terminal port 1, terminal 1, which was this guy, right? So now we have connected the stuff together inside the junction. Sorry, the conduit closure. So we have done like this, right? We have the conduit closure. We created this little rising here should prove to be a junction, and now we connected these two together. So we had done what they call in a branch out of a inner conduit, inner closure. Of course, you can do that with many. You can have many more inner conduits or single conduits going into the closure, and maybe take the green one, cut that, and put that to another one, and so forth. So, but normally they will maybe do like this, and maybe one more single conduit if they want to. This is a cabinet, and this is kind of a main route, main trans. Then they will kind of typical do something like this to get this thing here feeded. So they will blow a cable here and into this guy here. And maybe they will connect the red one here to this guy or some other pipe, so they can take the cable and blow it like in a transit to the next cabinet. So, but now you know the how it works and how the query stuff works, and I hope this um, this way it works, that you actually get these sites and ports and terminals, and they exactly tell you how things are connected. I hope it will make it easier to make the schematics. But of course, if you miss some information, if there's something that's you know you think could be better, anything like that, you just tell me. Okay, bye bye.